Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are all happy and healthy, doing the things you love. I'm back here with Jonny H3232 on Football Inc. and Sean Butler TV today because it's football finance time, and we've got an incredible, I don't know how to say this, Jonny, before I welcome you in, mate, but it's like a barrage of ITK civil wars in the Twitter space of people that think they know. Does anyone really know? Maybe some people know, but it's all about boardroom shake-ups. Donna Cullen, the PR director, has been sort of resigned her seat or stepped down from the board at Tottenham Hotspur. And then from there has been a catalogue of different news and pieces of information. Probably a load of it's a lot of nonsense, but there are some nuggets of truth with regards shake-up. We've got Jonny here to talk it through with me. We've also got some stories regarding Bruno Fernandes and his rejection of Saudi, apparently. We've got Brian Mbeumo, who's gone to, or is going to, Manchester United. We have a triple threat across in Saudi Arabia. Osimhen, Theo Hernandez and Inzaghi all expected in Paris tomorrow to sign the deal to go over there ahead of the World Club Cup. And Jadon Sancho and Mohamed Kudus, a potential swap deal, plus a load of other stories that we're going to get through in the next 55 minutes for you. Please smash the granny out of the like button if you're right here, right now. Hit the subscribe if you're new. This is the channel where we bring to you everything we can with regarding anything outside of or anything in football generally, whether that's football finance, whether that's transfer stories, and all of the in-between. Jonny, how you doing, mate? Good to see you, boss.
I'm good. I'm very good. Yeah, it's quite funny, Sean, isn't it? Like all the chat that I was doing on the earlier shows of this and on your Spurs Talk show about Charrington coming in 6-7 weeks ago, maybe longer, and about the implications. And then when Vinny came in, I said, you know, this is a major board shake-up, inward investment coming in. Not a single reaction, not a peep. And then all of a sudden, shit hits the fan yesterday, and I'm starting getting messages, people asking me, you know, what was that you were saying all those weeks ago? So I was just to say, guys, you know, if you want some information, come here first. Because
100%.
if you go back, you'll see all the conversation with Sean and I, where we had about football finance. When we're talking about all the clubs, we're also talking about Tottenham and the need for money, the club needing money for the capital intensive projects that they need to do.
So before we get into that, Jonny, just to touch on, I think it was way back because I remember me and you talking about Amanda Staveley and
Correct.
the non-disclosure agreement. This was back in January, and I remember sort of bringing up some Companies House data around the stock issue that was listed back in December that wasn't really announced to us all until early January. And there was a lot of confusion around how much was the initial, was it £30 million? Was it £15 million? All of this stuff came out in January. And I was trying my best to sort of chew over that from the perspective that I've got. And you were talking about, you know, this guy Charrington coming in and the fact that Daniel Levy had employed, was it the Rothschild Bank as well, to try to organise this takeover?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Rothschilds have been on board, you know, must be now at least 18 months, probably longer now, could be getting on for 2 years, looking for investors. You know, we know that I've lost count how many times we've spoken about QSI, the Qatari investment, which is part of the bigger umbrella, which is QIA. QSI, obviously, for those that don't know, own PSG. So yeah, we've been talking a lot about this and the need, the projects that Spurs want to carry on with, namely the hotel, the extension to Hotspur Way, the medical centre, and the Whitewebs development. All of these massive capital intensive projects that need funding, and Daniel looking for that funding. I really do think, I've gone on about this now probably for the last 2 or 3 months. I think Charrington, I think I started speaking about it maybe the end of March, when now May, we're seeing him come in. We've seen Vinny come in, which is massive credibility to this board. When Vinny left Arsenal after 20 years, he was courted by some of the biggest private equity companies, both in the USA and Saudi Arabia. He was offered a job at Newcastle, but he's come to Spurs. Now, he's come to Spurs for a reason. Now, that board with Charrington, Joe Lewis is private banker, looking after the ENIC interests, former head of Citibank, going onto that board with Vinay, gives huge credibility to any inward investor that this company means business. As for Donna stepping down, it's all a load of nonsense. Donna's been there for almost 3 decades now, and she was due to go last year. Daniel asked her to stay on for another year, and which he did. And now she's stepping down. I wouldn't read anything into it. There's no conflict of interest over Ange Postecoglou and sacking them. I mean, people are just looking for some clickbait, okay? This story has been cooking and cooking and cooking. We like clickbait, but we like to offer real bait, right? With real facts.
Clickworthy. Clickworthy.
Look, Sean and I have been boring people for a long time. Well, not everybody, but certain people about the finance stuff with the skullduggery of Villa and Chelsea and Newcastle and the Saudis, and they're all into bed with each other. But we've also been talking about this very thing before it was a thing. Okay, so if you want to find out information, real information about what's been going on, stick here.
Yeah, just quietly on that one. I'm not claiming that I know anything. I just, I've got an interest in the actual finance stuff, but in terms of connections to the club or whatever, that's not my bag. Obviously, Johnny does know people behind the scenes and can only share what what he can share. But between us, we can sort of speculate, hypothesize, bring some sort of tidbits of truth in there, and then obviously try and sort of piece it all together and join the dots a little bit.
Money's coming in. Look, we need money. They need money. It's not an ITK. It's an obvious progression. Rothschilds were appointed. They weren't appointed to go and find nobody. Rothschilds is like historic, over 150, 200 years of finance and banking. It's not been an easy task. It's not a small amount of money to be paid. And but there's lots. What's attractive about Spurs? For example, say if it was QSI, Sean, there is no real money at PSG. Okay,
right.
There's no money in French football. They've taken them basically as far as they can go. Yeah, there's the Champions League, but if you come to,
they finally won that now, so maybe that's the box ticked, right?
Well, it's the box ticks. They have trouble. They've been trying to get hold of the stadium, but the Paris authorities won't allow them to buy it. Coming to Spurs, there's infinitely more money available in the in the league itself. That's before you even start with the events and the money available and the ability to grow the brand and the ability, like with the hotel and the property,
real estate in London.
Huge opportunity for them and to make a lot of money. And I've got no problems with everyone making lots of money. But at the same time, if the Qataris come in or the Saudis, they are going to want to invest in the squad. So that should be music to our ears. What we're upset about as fans, when we're sitting here, Sean and I, and as Sean said, everyone's at the club chatting up all the girls at the moment, and we're still at home without an Uber driver, waiting to get to the party, and Brian Mbeumo looks like he's gone. Cunha's gone.
Yeah, but do you know what, Johnny? Sometimes you can be a late arrival, and for those girls that are still waiting, maybe we don't have to turn up in the Uber. Maybe if Qatar come along between now and the end of the summer, maybe we're rocking up in a limousine or like a horse-drawn carriage, and the girls go, "Wait, who's that? Who's that over there?" And that's Tottenham. Maybe Tottenham will come along with something with a little bit flashier. Look, I want to just sort of. Obviously, this is all speculative, but the story that was out, one of the many stories that were out yesterday, there was all this stuff about Donna Cullen. I put out a tweet, early, and I didn't know about Donna Cullen's retirement plans. I had no idea. So when I heard that Donna Cullen stepped down, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, it's Vinny's first day. Turned out I don't think Vinny's even starting until next week, apparently, according to other reports. But anyway, I put out a tweet saying this stinks of one of two things. Either there's board disagreement over what to do with Ange, or this is a nuke dropping on the first day from Vinny. Now, then George Bannister, who knows, I don't know his role, or what he does for a living, but he seems to be someone that knows a thing or two. And he came in and said, actually, Sean, that's that this has been, on the cards for a year, just got delayed for some reason. I said, fair enough. It didn't stop the tweet sort of picking up some steam. And but consequently, I still don't think that it necessarily has to be one or the other. I think that, a CEO can't come in and just force someone to step down. But there might be, and according to all reports from people like, Football London are saying this, and other people on Sky Sport, they're all saying now that there is more than just this potential stepping down, that there is a shake-up that's happening, which leads you back to your point about Charrington, however you say his name. And ultimately, it also comes at a time when, as I've said a few times now, Daniel Levy is the poster boy, Johnny, of FFP and PSR. It's very difficult for him to sort of get on board or shake hands with any of that kind of... getting involved in something that would be kind of counter to what he's been a part of for the last however many years. Then you've got the West Ham story about Trip Smith, who's already in bed with Blueco, who's Todd Bowley's vehicle, and he's in bed with David Blitzer and the guy they work together on Blackstone Capital projects. And so that stuff could lead to a world where you might actually have West Ham and Crystal Palace in the future possibly joining that kind of those dissidents around the teams that are in the Premier League voting pool who vote against any changes to FFP. And so one of the stories yesterday wasn't based on any of that, but one of the stories was suggesting that Daniel Levy might end up stepping down. Now, I don't buy that for a second. I'll get your take on it in just a second. But what I am intrigued by is there a world where Daniel Levy's won the trophy, he's won his European Cup, and we've spoken about this. It's a perfect time for Ange to step down. He hasn't got anything to prove. He can walk away. We've spoken about Sonny walking away, going to Saudi. Perfect time to sunset his time at Tottenham. Is there any chance that all of these things are colliding? This perfect storm is happening at the same time, with the likelihood of a reduction in the ability to close the loopholes in the future if West Ham and Palace join that cabal. Maybe Qatar coming together now and looking to make a deal. Something imminent is happening there potentially. And at the same time, Daniel Levy, whether or not he stays in some capacity and gets his money, but is no longer like the front-facing guy of Tottenham Hotspur, is all of this just coincidence, or is there something maybe happening at the same time here with all of these different forces colliding at the same time?
I think, look, there's merit in everything here. I think, he could definitely drop the mic and walk for sure, Daniel. But I think this is Daniel's life. I think, if you took this away from Daniel, you're taking away the majority of his life, it's hard for a footballer to walk away from a career, right? So imagine, 25 years in the saddle, despite the abuse. I mean, listen, let's be honest. Daniel's got an extremely thick skin. We talk about the abuse we get on YouTube and Twitter and stuff, but I mean, it's nothing to what Daniel gets. We don't have protests walking down our road saying Sean and Jonny out. But I think. Well,
I've had a couple of people rock up around trying to find me.
No, but I mean, listen, look, it is what it is.
I know what you're doing,
But listen, the thing is, I think the more likelihood is that Daniel takes investment, whether it be 10%, because let's be honest, QSI can't do a takeover right now anyway, because it needed to be a rolling takeover, maybe initial stake of say 10%, because they own QSI. They'd have to offload QSI. I don't know if you saw the story that Crystal Palace are being brought in to discuss the multi-club ownership with UEFA because they're in sticky waters with that.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I just caught the glimpse of it. We'll have to do one on that maybe tomorrow. But I think this is a perfect opportunity. I think it could be a lovely relationship, with the headroom that Spurs have got with FFP and PSR, which Daniel has presided over. This would allow them to come in and spend big money straight away. I mean, we worked it out at the last thing. It was about 250 million pounds worth of FFP headroom. Was that not right, Sean? Something around that number.
There's no risk on the FFP stuff in miles away from that.
So we could actually come in and actually smash the transfer window straight away, should it happen. I don't see it happening right now. I see maybe an announcement of the initial purchase with a rolling, say, 3 to 5 year purchase, where they offload their business and they start to invest in Spurs and fund everything that's there. Listen, it's exciting times for Spurs, and there is restructuring all across the board, Sean. I've said this. It's going to go all the way down, I think, to the medical department. I think with Vinny coming in, I don't think people really realise, how good this guy is. First of all, you're going to see difference in fan liaison. His development of the women's football team at Arsenal, which we saw the culmination of the other week. And I just think that across the board, from the medical department, I don't expect to be seeing jobs advertised on LinkedIn as often. But mind you, I think we just saw an advert to be an assistant to Vinay, didn't we? Well, I'll take all of that back.
Yeah, 100%.
I think change is coming, and it's a good thing. That's what change for Tottenham wanted, change, and now they're getting it. So let's.
Mate, sorry. I'm a supporter of the movement, mate, but there was shamelessness all round yesterday, and one of the elements of shamelessness was trying to take credit for Donna Cullen's retirement. That was quite insane. But everyone, each their own. Everyone's got to be shameless, I guess, at some point. So I'm very guilty of it as well. Let me ask you, mate, though, with regards the other news, there was Matthew Colcott as well, the business and finance director. His details changed at Company House as well. Not sure what that looks like, whether that was just because he's moved home and they've just basically updated his address, or whether that was more around an actual change in position or maybe a restructuring. But like I say, there's reports everywhere from the aggregators that are speculating to the supposed closer to the kind of grindstone, if you like, that are saying that there's massive changes happening at Tottenham. Do you think, and whatever that looks like, right, whatever that looks like, whether that is ownership coming in the imminent near future, whether that is just a Vinny nuke and he's had a word, like I say, not that he can force anything. He doesn't have the mandate to do it as the CEO. The board are voted in and they're voted out, and they can fall on their sword if they want to, like Donna Cullen has, or retire, whatever. But there could also be more to it than that, in that Vinny's come in and with Charrington, for example, and that they've said essentially, this is the direction of travel. If you want our advice, then you need to listen to us. And then Daniel Levy's heard that from people that are employees, and then taken that, spoken to the board, and kind of pushed certain narratives. Who knows? We don't know. It will come out in the wash.
Just a step down, guys. It's just a step down. Donna was supposed to go a year ago. Daniel asked her to stay after 30 odd years. Can you stay another year for the transition? And that's happened. And look, the transition.
The timing not a little bit suspicious, though, mate. The fact that it's the same day as Vinny.
No, it's not. It's not, mate, because it's just the way it ends. The season's ended. She's dropped the mic as well. She's been here 30 years. What a way to go out for her, right? Yeah. What a way for her to go out. What a way for Ange to go out. What a way for Sonny to go out. What a way for Daniel to go out, should they choose it. I don't believe Daniel will go out, because, this is his baby. He's been at the forefront of this. But he can go in tandem. I mean, the fact that Joe Lewis has dropped Charrington into the pot and Vinny's there, that suggests to me a major change. These guys have massive credibility. You're not the head of Citibank, and
I hear you about that.
For 20 years through the ranks there without credibility. The contacts, for mergers and acquisitions that they're going to have. I think you will start to see big changes. And, maybe that will be, Thursday or Friday. I expect to hear something on Ange. Maybe the whole cycle is changing here. And I expect it to be. Spurs need to be more professional. Spurs need to be more in touch. And, if we can carry on in the manner that we are, I mean, listen, we're going to be a financial behemoth now. What with, when you look at our finances only dropped 4% with no European football, and only 41 games, the least amount of games we've had in 16 years. And now suddenly we've got 30 non-football events. We won the Europa League. Yes, we lost money in our league position, but we're going to have Champions League. This is only the second year of the Champions League money going through the roof. We're going to get probably around about 7.5 million shared from the Super Cup. We got massive bonuses from all our sponsors for being in the tournament, bonuses for winning the trophy, big money coming in. And if we can attract inward investment, there is no excuse now. Daniel or whoever it is has to go out now and start spending that money. And I need to see that 42% spend on wages to income dramatically increase.
I hear you and all that stuff, but there's one thing, there's one element of the story that's a little bit strange, right? And let me see if I can bring it up for you because it's a bit weird. I'll do this 1 second. So this is the tweet I was referencing earlier, right? And I put it in the video this morning as well. So you can't see the guy's face on this particular screenshot, but the guy that posted the comment above this one, according to Sim from We Are Tottenham TV, who apparently knows the guy, it's Donna Cullen's son. And this is a conversation that's happening between, apparently, I don't know who Donna Cullen's son is, right? But Sim said it's Donna Cullen's son. I think he was being sincere. You can't see it on this particular screenshot, but on the original, his telephone number's scratched out, and the picture remains. I sent it to you in a message, mate. Apparently, that guy is, and so this is a conversation that's happening between two. But now, look, the rest of this stuff looks rubbish to me. Like Joe Lewis's daughter doesn't run the trust, right? She doesn't run the trust.
She doesn't like Daniel. That's true. But
that might be true, but
yeah.
It also says at the bottom here that the hotel block project has been scrapped, which is obviously nonsense. But that's not the guy. That's someone else. It's Donna Cullen's son that was the message above it that's saying something different. So I just wonder whether or not that there is a little bit of smoke to some of the story, if it's true, if it's Donna Cullen's son. I don't know if it is.
Sure, mate. With the greatest respect, I could send you a message now on my WhatsApp. Change my picture to Donald Cullen's son.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it's true, of course. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't believe any of it. I was sent it by about 30 people. And I said, I've discussed all of this 3-4 months ago. In March, end of March, I was discussing about Charrington coming in. Obviously, they didn't know about Vinny, but I said Charrington coming in signifies change is going on at Spurs, right? What would the
change look like is the kind of trigger, right? That's what we need to know.
A board with credibility, Sean. A board with financial credibility in the market to attract the top people. I mean, you can't have no respect to some of the members of the West Ham board, for example, right? You don't want an Arthur Daly or or such like people on the board. They have to have credibility if you're going to be putting your money in. And don't forget, any inward investor would want a position on the board, right? So if they're going to be on the board, they have to have confidence in the person that is going to be leading the ship, okay? Yeah. And if you have a fantastic financial background, and with Vinny, with his 20 years at Arsenal, they're all bitter and twisted. Don't read.
I'm not. I'm just bringing it up. I don't know anything, mate. I just all I ever do is just chew through the numbers and then speculate.
Oh, 100%. But listen, this story will run, and no doubt, what happens with Ange, the internet and the YouTube community will blow up. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, but this is going to obviously this has legs.
Do you think though? Last, before we move away from Tottenham and move on to some of these other stories, which are equally quite fascinating, to be entirely honest, do you think that any of this stuff, any of this potential boardroom shakeup, if there's something more to it, or otherwise, if there is, there's no carnage, but maybe there's just a lot of change that's happening? Do you think any of that is the reason why we haven't got any clarification yet on Ange Postecoglou? He's still on holiday. Daniel Levy's back at work. And obviously the story is that, the club, like Daniel Levy's finally getting around to making a decision. And I've been saying for the last sort of week and a half, like, what's going on? Like, why are we not at the point where we make a decision yet? It's so silly. It's crazy. And I'm thinking now, like, maybe part of that is because there's other fish to fry, not necessarily bigger fish to fry, but there's other fish in the frying pan that also need to be kind of turned over once or twice before they cook. So I just wonder whether or not, we're waiting for an Ange announcement, but that, first thing is first, so to speak.
Well, I listen, I think that, Ange is sitting on the beach in Greece, eating some souvlaki, and there's no way he hasn't picked up a paper, or one of his sons or one of his family hasn't said, have you seen all the links to Thomas Frank? and Terzic and all these other managers. What's going on? Or the wife's seen it. He might not be wanting to look at it, but he would have spoken to his representatives, which are CAA, and said, what's going on here? So I think he 100%. I mean, maybe he's going to walk off and drop the mic, but I wouldn't.
That's what I've been saying, mate. I think he's in a win-win situation.
No way does he walk. He sucks it up because there's
£7 million in compensation happening on Monday. Yeah, you don't rage quit on Friday if you've got $7 bar coming in on Monday, right?
Suck it up, man. Give me all the abuse, guys. Give me all the abuse, right?
Yeah.
Look,
mate, he is in a win-win situation. If he does get sacked and he gets, not only does he walk away with £7 million, he also walks away with half the fan base saying that Tottenham Hotspur are crazy to get rid of him, and half the footballing world are also thinking the same thing. He then also never has to prove anybody wrong or right. So like no one will know what season 3 looks like. No one will have to know.
Also, what a get-out clause now. I mean, it's written in stone now. Whatever club he goes to, if he goes there and he has a shit first season, but I always win something in my second season.
Yeah, the stone
fan bases are now going to go, well, you can't sack him.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't sack the guy.
100%.
He's
somehow formulated.
He's got 2 years for life at every club, no matter how shit he might be. Right?
You know what, mate? The only other part of this story that I just want to chew over, because I haven't sort of changed my stance on Ange a little bit, but part of me, and I said this yesterday on my live stream, part of me feels like I need to know whether he's full of shit or whether he actually is the boy. Like, part of me is like, when he says season 3 is better than season 2, I sort of feel like, when you go to Netflix and you can access seasons 1 and 2 of something, but season 3 isn't on Netflix. There has been a season 3, but it's only available on Hulu or only available in certain markets. And you're furious because the story left on a cliffhanger and you can't access the final bit. I kind of feel like that's how it is with Ange. Like, if he was to leave now, I feel like I've had the starter, but I don't know how with the main course. I don't know whether it was a good main course or not. So part of me needs to know how this story ends, and it can't really end with a sacking. I feel unfulfilled. I need to know whether I was wrong about him being a bullshit artist or whether he was wrong about the fact that he's a winner, mate. I feel like the fan base also needs to know. So I'm not changing my stance, but I feel like if I get my way and Tottenham move in the direction with a new, bigger, better manager that's not a sideways step, I'll still feel slightly unfulfilled by this whole thing. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I think, listen, from what I heard, season 3, the script was totally unbelievable, and they're going to have to let him go. And anyway, season 3, we all know they normally get whacked in season 3 because they run out of money. So anyway, let's see.
Listen, guys, there's nearly 400 people here watching on the 2 channels. I'm not sure what the distribution is, but wherever you are, please smash the like. Yeah, please smash the subscribe, and if you can, jump down into the comment section. Into the description below the video, and then click the link just temporarily. It will open up a new tab, and then just go and hit the subscribe on the other one as well, because we're trying to obviously grow the second channel. So really appreciate it. But yeah, look, massive numbers again, and we're going to carry on the story now, mate. So we've done this one, but Mbeumo. I don't know what I keep saying Mbeumo because everyone else. I always said Mbeumo, but everyone else seems to
say boom.
Yeah. Well, everyone else says it's Mbeumo. I don't care. Whatever. We'll call him Brian. Brian is apparently turning down Newcastle, Tottenham, Chelsea, even Arsenal, and is choosing Northwestern climes, Manchester United. And he's not even getting paid that much. He's getting paid a lot more than he was getting paid at Brentford. 200 grand a week apparently is the number, which is obviously decent money for the guy. 50 million pound apparently is the number for the player. But does this story just kind of remind everybody that it doesn't matter how low Manchester United sink, they're still Manchester United?
I mean, look at Chelsea. What the players that they signed when they had no European football and languishing, in a terrible position in the league. Man United next season could be quite frightening if they can offload some of their players and bring in more money. I mean, already I'm salivating at the thought of
Cunha and Mbeumo.
Mbeumo and what's his name? Ahmad on the other side. I mean, already, that is taking shape, a deadly strike. I think they try to get rid of Højlund because they'll try and get him out on loan. I can't see anyone coughing up the ridiculous 75 million that United paid for him.
Who's that for? Sorry,
Højlund.
For Højlund, yeah, 100%.
I just think that's already taking shape. Both of those players with Ahmad and him and Cunha. Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, listen, I think there isn't a fan out there really in any club that would say no to Brian Mbeumo. So it has come as a massive shock that he's committing this early. But until I see him holding up the shirt.
Yeah. We haven't even seen Cunha hold up the shirt. Well, they can't, technically.
That's done.
Yeah, that is done. But yeah, interesting one. So another name chalked off the list. Tottenham Hotspur. Not to make this show all about Tottenham, but we are, Tottenham are part of the footballing world, so we are going to continue. The story yesterday was from Sancho. What's his name? Sancho Cavalieri was saying that Tottenham have offered a 4-year deal for Leroy Sané, and then the story broke from the same guy a couple of hours later saying that Arsenal are hijacking the deal, and then the story broke a couple of hours after that from someone else that was also, I forget the name, but a decent pedigree, who said that Arsenal have got no interest in Leroy Sané. The other part of the story, Johnny, is that we've heard for a while that Sané wanted to come back to the Premier League and wanted to be in London, but we weren't really sure why. Turns out his wife and his kids live in London, and he flies back every week to see them for a couple of days. So he just wants to be around his family. If Arsenal are ruling themselves out, Chelsea, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about the Sancho story in a second, but do you see Chelsea coming in and trying to steal the march, or do you think they've got enough wingers or enough intentions to go elsewhere?
Well, I mean, listen, the fact is they're not going to offer Sané their 8-year contracts that they're offering everybody else. Second of all, they're going to have to pay him 300 grand a week. Look, do you know how easy it is for agents to create chaos? All you got to do is ring up 3 or 4 contacts via someone else to say, I've got the inside line. Arsenal are interested in Sané. Spurs are interested in Sané. And what you do is you create all this traffic in the news. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich have already offered him a deal, but it's not the deal that he wants. The head of Bayern Munich has said, oh, no, we're not going to offer him any more. And then 3 days later, he's saying, well, maybe we will. So it might just be posturing to negotiate himself a deal with Bayern Munich. Because let's be honest, Bayern Munich to Tottenham,
Yeah, I know, but look, it sounds like there's other things at play here. Like I said, his family, he wants to be with his family. So, maybe it's just more around personal reasons. But you're right, like there's always the angle that it could be around posturing and trying to use us as bait, as clickbait, to get another couple of million out of it, and that story's also knocking around. So we shall see. But Tottenham front and centre at the moment on a 4-year potential deal for Leroy Sané, which would be an improvement.
I was going to say, I think the biggest story out there today on the transfer market really is the fact that Bruno Fernandes, according to Fabrizio Romano, has turned down Saudi Arabia.
Before we come to that one, mate, there's a bit of breaking news. So Fabrizio Romano has just said, in fact, there's 2 stories out. One of them's about Bruno and one of them's also about Jadon Sancho. So breaking news, Jadon Sancho leaves Chelsea as there's no agreement on personal terms, but Jadon Sancho is not expected to stay at United this summer. He's included... Oh, hang on, my phone keeps turning off. 1 second. He is... What are we doing here?
Well, listen, so that means Chelsea will have to pay Manchester United £5 million for coming out of that deal.
But Matt Law has come out and said it's worth noting that Chelsea did not pay an initial loan fee for Sancho. So the £5 million to send him back is only the same as Villa paying £5 million to loan Disasi, or Juventus paying £5 million to take Vega on loan. Chelsea made an attempt to sign Sancho permanently, but terms with the player could not be agreed. 15 goal contributions, not spectacular, but not bad. Fabrizio Romano carries on saying he's included in lists of players available for sale to generate funds and reinvest on different signings. So if they can get rid of Sancho, then that would obviously make the space in the squad for Brian Mbeumo, and obviously try to make the money available as well. We've got the Garnacho story as well that's going to come out in the next couple of days, no doubt. But just on this Sancho story, there's also a story out today that West Ham United, Johnny, are interested in doing a swap deal, a cash plus player swap deal with West Ham for Mohamed Kudus and Jadon Sancho going in the other direction. Any merit in this one, mate?
I can't see it personally. I really can't. He ain't going to West Ham. He could go back to Germany, to Dortmund, to any other. I think the biggest story here is this morning. It's a massive blow to Manchester United if they want to sign all these players. Look, we saw Jim Ratcliffe cull the tea lady and God knows what else to raise finance. Yeah. And he spent the money on Cunha. We're believed that he's trying to spend the money on Mbeumo. Meanwhile, the deal for Al Ittihad and 100 million's gone down. Sancho deal's gone down. Rashford deal's gone down. Right? Mainu's still on 300 grand a week. Garnacho hasn't gone anywhere. They need to get rid of some serious players. Mm-hmm. You know, how are they going to get rid? How are they going to get rid of all this? That should be their first priority, because I'd like to see how they're going to get around FFP and PSR with no European football and spending this money and still massive wages in there. They need to get rid of players. I can't see Jadon Sancho swapping Chelsea for West Ham. I think he'll go out on a loan. No one's going to pay the wages. Again,
why would West Ham sell Kudos?
Well, look at the wages. The problem here, Man United have got, whoever sanctioned it should be shot. But how many players they got on 300 grand a week?
I think they got 2 on 300. I think they got Casemiro and Rashford on 300. But I think they've got about 3 others on 260 or higher. Bruno Fernandes is 1. I think Sancho's on about 240, isn't he? And I think could be wrong about that.
All on massive wages, mate.
Massive wages. There's another story here talking about Bruno Fernandes, right? So they understand that Al Hilal have made contact with Ederson of Atalanta's camp after Bruno Fernandes' decision to reject their bid. Atalanta midfielder high on Al Hilal's list, especially if Simone Inzaghi decides to join the project. Official proposal could follow soon. Not sent yet, mate. This, like I said it on my video this morning, like when I was talking about Osimhen. Because this is the other story, right? So Osimhen, I talked about Osimhen, we spoke about it on this channel lots of times. But, you know, maybe there's for the first time in a while, there's more supply in the striker market than there is demand at the top end of the market, and it's going to be an interesting summer. And we spoke about Osimhen, but you know what? When we were going through the list of teams that need strikers, we forgot about Saudi. Johnny, you never forget about Saudi. Rule 1: never forget about Saudi. And apparently, mate, Saudi tomorrow in Paris have got a meeting scheduled with Simone Inzaghi, Theo Hernandez, and Osimhen to make it a triple swoop for Al Hilal, or one of the teams out there. I think it's Al Hilal. I mean, it's just madness how much money they've got and what they're doing. Madness.
Listen, it's all about the buck. Listen, let's be honest. You're going from playing in the Inferno in Turkey to playing in front of 600 people down in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's all about the buck. But we've seen many players go out there, they're earning money, and then they need to come back. Listen, we understand it's life-changing sums of money, where you know generational wealth for some of them. But you know, if you're earning huge money as it is, like Bruno already is, Man United maybe have offered him a new contract to increase his wages. Who knows? But listen, I don't blame them, but no, this is all about getting players in for the Club World Cup. And, you know, I'm seeing everyone manoeuvring, and FIFA desperately manoeuvring to somehow get Cristiano Ronaldo into the World Cup so he can be there with Messi. I mean, it's meant to be a serious tournament, right? And
it's becoming an exhibition, isn't it?
Yeah, and they just want like exhibitionists in there. You know, as great as they both were, they're past it.
At the same time, you know, whilst Al Hilal or whoever, you know, I think it's Al Hilal's the only team out there from Saudi. Like they are, like if they're scrambling to put together a top draw, system, like there's too little time. You need time to gel. It's not just about 11 players; it's about a team. So I just think it could be an embarrassing situation where they're trying to scramble in the next week or two to put together wonderful players, and some clubs will be beneficiaries of that. I think Man United are absolutely furious probably with Bruno Fernandes for turning it down, even though they'd be selling their whole money.
But that's what I'm saying, it's ruining the whole thing. And then on top of that, Chelsea saying, no thanks, we'll pay you the 5 million, right? I mean, Al Hilal's, you know who Al Hilal's first game in the Club World Cup is against?
Inter Miami, is it?
No, Real Madrid.
Ooh. wowzers.
So, they want a couple of star names there.
Yeah,
so,
I think I'll be up at 3:00 in the morning to watch that one.
I'll just throw one out there. I can't see it happening, but is there a chance that someone like Al Hilal will come and offer mega money to Spurs for Sonny?
It's exactly what I was going to ask you just right now. 100%. I'd be surprised if it was to get done this quickly, because Sonny's someone that takes a long time. I'd imagine would take a long time to chew this one over. But if they can't get the superstar in Bruno Fernandes, is Ederson? I mean, Ederson's surely he's got too much time on his side, taking his career too seriously. He's got plenty of years to go to Saudi. Got plenty of years in his career. He doesn't need to go to Saudi now. But Sonny doesn't have that much time left. Can go and play in the Club World Cup. Could go and get Tottenham 50 million, 60 million. He can go and earn 500 grand a week, wherever he wants. As you say, generational money. And it could be a happy ever after for all parties concerned. And when you're looking at superstars around the game that could be that next name, and also for what it's worth, thinking beyond the Club World Cup, but an opportunity to actually fill up those stadiums a little bit. I'd like to see some Korean girls wearing the hijab and everything. It'd be a shock to their culture, but it would be a fascinating thing. And I think there might be some truth to that, Johnny.
I mean, Wolves just put in the comments there, quite funny. Is could you imagine Al Hilal loaning Miami? He could play Messi and Ronaldo in the same
team.
Give me a ball! I want it. Can you imagine?
They're having a fight on the penalty spot. Who's taking the pen? Who's his man? I mean, they're having like heads or tails game before they saw the pen. Yes, though, I think there's not too much more to go through, man. I know you've got to jump out, so maybe this is the right time to
maybe we'll do another later this evening, because let's be honest, I think the way things are going, the stories are coming thick and fast. But I think, I expected the Zubimendi deal hasn't been done yet. So for Arsenal,
there's a couple of stories just quickly. Purvis Estupiñán's being linked from Brighton to Chelsea. Interesting one. He's such a wonderful left back. And Chelsea, I think, I don't know if that's to replace Cucurella or to mix it in there. I don't know what's going on there. Alexander Mitrovic. The links are moving him back from Saudi to Wolves, which will be interesting. And he's also linked with Newcastle United. Also, Estupiñán is also linked with Brighton to AC Milan, and also, believe it or not, to Tottenham Hotspur. Somehow, I'm also seeing here in the same heartbeat, Alexander Mitrovic is being linked with Tottenham as well. I don't know the standard of these links, but it seems like those two players have been linked with a few different clubs. Any thoughts on those two?
I think if you've got legs and you can kick a football, you're getting linked right now. I mean, it's link madness. Look, you have to waft through. You need a giant sieve, okay, to go through all this stuff. Some is very credible, and there are talks, but no. I mean, let's see what happens. I just think that right now we're sort of rudderless. Because we don't have clarity on the manager, so we can't go. And I would have thought that the two that are really rushing to recruit were Manchester City. I thought Man City would have done more business now with the tournament starting in 10 days' time, is it? Is it the 15th of June or something?
Yeah, 15th of June, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought Man City might have moved a bit quicker with some players. Listen, Liverpool probably so far, if they signed Wirtz, Kerkez and Frimpong, I think would have had the most exciting window of them.
Liverpool are wildly overpaying for Florian Wirtz. They've had a third bid rejected of 140 million euros is the next. They want 155. Which is 130 million pounds. That's up there in the top 5 transfers of all time, mate. It's insane money for a guy who, is an unbelievable talent, but has elements of like laziness in him. If you actually, I don't know how much you've watched him, but I've seen so many clips of compilations of him, like just being just a little bit sloppy. Don't get me wrong, he's an absolute top draw player, but how often do the top 10 transfers in the world football become success stories?
Mind-blowing. Honestly, the numbers are mind-blowing. And, look, the numbers in football are mind-blowing. When you look back now, exponentially, you know, what players are earning in a week. Players, you know, 20 years ago didn't earn in a year, you know. So it's I think it's getting out of hand in some respects. I thought we were, you know, with the FFP and PSR, it would limit these £100 million transfers and the sort of 400-500 grand a week wages. But it obviously hasn't, because they've all learned to circumvent them. But it's going to be interesting from here, because I think Man United desperately need to offload players for FFP. Aston Villa need to offload players. Chelsea need to offload players. I think it's going to be an interesting time. I think, you know, some people will be hanging on to the death, like you said, seeing which club's in trouble. And, you know, we mentioned that Nottingham Forest are looking to sign 3 Brazilians.
Oh, yeah, I've looked at that story up. You know what? I didn't get up. We'll talk about that on the second show later on, mate. It's like Nottingham Forest have just they're almost impressing me as much as Brighton and Brentford have done in the last 5 years. Their system seems to be almost
Milenkovic, Murillo. You know, you could. I mean,
even their talent ID. I don't know who it is that's pulling the data out or whatever they're doing over there, but they seem to be able to find nuggets of gold. And with Nuno, they've got a manager there who knows how to get the best out of the players and not be at the sacrifice of the system. It's really, really impressive. And I'm curious. We'll talk about that later on. I know you've got to go, mate. So
yeah,
perfect time to round off, mate. Yeah.
I was just going to say, guys, if you're in the chat, please hit the subscribe button, comments and likes. Sorry to ask, but it really helps the channel grow. We're a newborn. We've just been hatched, and we want to get that sort of trajectory right now. So if you stumbled upon us, if you're a Spurs fan, you'll obviously know about us from Spurs Talk Show. But if you're not, although a lot of it today was about the takeover or potential takeover with Spurs, these other shows will be about all clubs, you know, and all parts of it, whether it be finance, refereeing decisions, match thing going on in matches. And we'll be coming here for the Club World Cup, and we'll be talking about stuff that's gone on there. No doubt there'll be some controversy.
Maybe even a watch along or two if the hours are friendly.
Yeah, exactly. But it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him. We'll see you later on, guys. Also, back on the Spurs Talk Show for a live stream in about an hour and a half or 2 hours' time. So keep a lookout for that. And then we'll be back here later on for a second dose of this. It's 24 hours a day over here in the football content world. Love you all. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, bye-bye.